Oh my goodness. Household bills in Fife are set to rise by 254 million. QVT. Guys, heating bills in Fife are set to rise by 254 million come April. This is unbelievable where this is going to go. How's this going to affect the property market in Fife? How's it going to affect the property market right across the UK, potentially the world as well? So on the show today, we've got Andrea. Hi, how are you, Andrea?
Hello, I'm fine, keeping cozy here with my blanket.
To talk about this unbelievable subject. We never thought this would have happened, did we?
No, not at all.
I mean, everybody's joining us today. If you want to chip in, by all means, chip in. This is we're going to be talking about heating bills, where this is going to go. I'd be interested to hear about your heating bills. Have you had something through the post yet from your energy company? I've had something from EDF, by the way, saying you're basically screwed. For want of a better word. It's out the window, that's it. Game over. Prices are doubling and basically going to have to pay £5,000 a year for my energy bills. This is unbelievable. So what can we do to alleviate that position? How can we change things as homeowners in Fife, as tenants in Fife, as landlords in Fife, and as potentially buyers in Fife, and where are we going to go with that? So let's talk about this. Energy bills for the Fife resident will rise in April. We've just said that. And as the price cap increases, to take account of the global increases in gas prices. Now, those not on gas mains will still be hit, as the UK uses gas to produce 45% of their electricity. I'll say that again. UK still uses gas to generate 45% of their electricity. So this will still affect people that just say, well, I don't use gas. It shouldn't affect me at all. Yes, it will. 45% of your gas, of your electricity is produced by gas itself. So what can Fife residents do to reduce their energy consumption and ultimately save money? I mean, let's look at it first in the scale of the costs. Considering the energy increases from April when they'll go up, the combined energy bills for the whole of Fife will come to £254,094,230. I had to work that out there. 51,152,974 for hot water and £27,875.52 for lighting. There's an extra energy cost for washing, fridges, etc. Yet I wanted to focus just on the home, as this is a property blog when you think about it. So I don't really want to talk about anything else other than how it'll affect the home, but there's also hot water, there's lighting, there's fridges, there's washing machines, and all these extra costs will go up as a result of it. Everyone's bill will be around about 50% more expensive than 2022 than 2021, but it's not too late for Fife people to take some quick steps to cut their energy bills and at the same time cut our carbon footprint as well. We're going to talk about this and we're going to go over to you, Andrea, in a minute, but just to say that just over a quarter of the UK's carbon comes from heating and lighting our 27.6 million homes, and each home produces 4.39 tonnes of carbon dioxide per year. Do you want to take the next bit, Andrea?
Yeah, of course. So upgrading the energy efficiency of UK homes is seen as a vital step to attempting to mitigate the issues of climate change, fuel poverty, and our nation's energy security. So what are some quick wins for Fife residents to reduce the energy bills on their homes, and how will energy efficiency play a more significant part in the value of Fife homes in the future?
Do you think? I mean, how will we do this? By the way, here's Phil on here. So if anybody doesn't know, Phil Beaumont actually works with Utility Warehouse. and he could reduce impact on your bills and your household wastage and all the rest of it. So if you get Phil Bowman, touch base with him, connect with him, because you never know what he could save you as a result of it. But if you want to do it yourself, what's the first thing we could kind of do, Andrea? What's the first thing that we would do?
Right. Well, you turn down your thermostat by 1 degree.
Do you think that makes a fundamental difference? I mean, how much does that save us?
Well, they say it does. It says the average annual saving would be around £105.91 a year per household. So it's a little bit, but every little helps. And each home's carbon dioxide would be reduced by 1/8 of a tonne. So it's helping the carbon footprint as well by turning the thermostat back.
Would it be natural to think then, if we turn them down by 2%, we'd be saving about, what, over £200 a year? And then by 3%, £300 a year, 4%, £400. Why do we not just switch it off and save ourselves a fortune? That would suit me perfect. Spring has arrived already. Summer, switch the heating off.
I think people are actually switching their heating off much earlier in the year now and waiting till the very, very latest in the year to turn it on.
Hey, listen, guys, if you're out there, are you switching your heating down now? Is this impacting on you at all? Are you thinking about your carbon footprint? More importantly, are you thinking about reducing your bills and how you're going to do that? So if you're out there, please feel free to mention in the comments if you're doing that, if you're taking part in that, or what ideas and methods you've got to do this. Replacing your bulbs is a big one for me. Now, incidentally, I have 40 downlighters in my house. And I tell you what, when I originally got them put in, they were all 50 watt. That is huge. Look at it, 50 watt. So basically that means I had 20 100-watt bulbs going at any one point in time if I switched all my lights on. Now, compare that to what I have now, which is daylight bulbs, and they are actually brighter than the original bulbs, and they're not one of these ones that take time to heat up. They're instant, so they're brighter, they're lighter, they're natural daylight light, so it's actually light you don't realize that the light's on in the room. So I've got them, and they're 4 watt each that they generate. So effectively 40 of them is 160 watts in total with them all on, which is equivalent to 280 watt bulbs.
Yeah, it certainly makes a big difference.
20 100-watt bulbs against 280 watt bulbs. That's a 10th. Basically, I cut my electricity bill on my lighting down to a 10th just by changing to downlighters. In terms of low energy downlighters, and I went onto the Energy Saving Trust and I got the first 26 bulbs free as a result. There was £250 towards that. So another guy is Mark Henderson. He is an energy assessor and he saves people energy savings on their bills as well by putting things like new boilers in place which are energy efficient and getting you possibly grants towards that as well. So Mark Henderson is another guy to touch base with as well, and he's regularly on our posts here in terms of that. So he runs an energy saving shop and he could save you a fortune. But Energy Saving Trust Scotland is one place you can go to which actually gives you out grants for different types of energy stuff that you have that maybe isn't that efficient. So in other words, it'll cut down your bills. And as I said, I got £250 towards mine, and I got the first 26 bulbs free. I paid for the rest, but I tell you what, I saved that money within 3 months. My energy bill literally dropped. And when you think about it, if 45% of your electricity is generated by gas, then I'm also saving on the gas cost as the electricity cost, because it's not just gas, it's everything. So it makes sense, just to do that.
Yeah.
What have you done, Andrea? Have you changed to energy light bulbs and turned on your heating and stuff like that?
Yeah, all our light bulbs in the house are energy efficient.
Yeah.
Light bulbs, LEDs. The heating is down. I think it's about 16 degrees, which is lower than they recommend. But we put warmer clothes on.
16? Are you in Siberia or something?
No, but I do have my nice blanket to keep me warm.
It's like 16.
Yeah. But then if you're active you know, if you're a reasonably able-bodied person and you can be active about your home during the day, and I'm thinking maybe of the older people, the retired people, not like me, that you know, instead of just sitting about the house during the day, and they will feel the cold if they're not moving about.
No,
So
like my boys that sit in their pants all day long and then
that's
complain that it's too cold in the house.
you need to turn your heating down and tell them to put some clothes on.
I tell you what, I couldn't believe it. I went up last night and I had a look, and I popped into Scott's room, and he had the heater going, right, on one side, and he had his fan going on the other side. And I kid you not. And I says to him, would you not just better be switching your heating off, your heater off, and actually maybe possibly opening the window, or do whatever it is in order for that to balance out? And it was like a cancelling process. It's like, I'm thinking, I'm paying for the fan going and I'm paying for the heater going, and it's like that makes no sense at all. But literally, that's what it was. And he was in his pants, and then he was complaining that he was too cold and too warm and too warm at the same time. It's like, work that one out. I couldn't get that at all. So, you know, you've done that as well. I've done that as well. You know, I'm still working on turning the heating down, because every time I turn it down, they run downstairs and switch it on.
Yeah, I'm just going to. Phil Bowman's made a good comment here. Just show it there. Reduce the drafts. Cover your keyholes. I mean, it's just tiny little things. The letterbox. Make sure it's well fitting.
The wee
sausages.
flip thing that goes in the keyhole.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, curtains, a good heavyweight curtain behind your door.
A door sausage.
We've done that. Door sausage. Yeah.
You mean a draft excluder, but I can what you mean straight away, like the wee sausage dog door things that were made up by wee cats and wee dogs, and they were just elongated things.
Yeah,
you can even actually do. You know the thing. You know, think people, oh, I couldn't afford that. It's like actually old socks or an old sheet would actually do just as well, stuffed into tights. Apparently, I used to see that years ago in the good old days. You pair of tights right along the bottom of the door for a draft excluder.
Yeah. And the bit there he says there, only boil water that is needed. Well, we have actually marked on our kettle. We took a standard cup size, and we actually poured it in what 1 cup was, and put a mark with a permanent marker on it, because they'd all worn off on the kettle, so we had no idea. So now we know, you know, my other half counts in elephants how much to go in. One elephant.
I'm always saying, how come the kettle's no boiled? It's like, I'm wanting a cup of tea. I didn't want to wait for a cup of tea. And I keep saying to Elaine, every time, Elaine switches everything off at the back of me. So I was waiting today, and I was waiting, and I'd said to you, I'm just going to get myself a cup of tea. I went through for a cup of tea, and the kettle was switched off. It was off at the wall. I'd actually switched it down, and Elaine had switched it off at the switch at the wall. So I'd actually waited for the kettle to boil, and it wasn't. So what I say every time is, can we not just boil the kettle right at the back of filling, you know, the teapot again? Because
how much water was in that kettle, Jim?
Yeah, but I love tea. It's like I'll drink
you only needed 1 cup. It boiled in 2 minutes.
I know. I should. I shoulda, woulda, coulda. That's really what comes to it. And then he goes on to say things like thicker curtains. Yeah, you can absolutely get that as well. Reflectors behind radiators, which an easy one is possibly tinfoil behind the radiators. People can do that to be cheaper. Also, switch off your lights. Make sure you do use your LED, as he'd said, and then and actually only boil the water that you actually need.
Yeah.
I get that completely. What time does your heating go off and on? It's another one to think about. We've still got our heating going on at 5:15 in the morning for Ben to get up at 6 o'clock because he needs the house cozy for him.
You spoil them. We put on later to tell him to get out of bed quickly.
I remember I used to go to bed fully clothed because I didn't want to get up to the cold in the morning. And I used to go to bed fully clothed. And when I got up in the morning for my paper round, it was like, right, I'm ready. Or I even used to have my jammies, and I used to put my clothes on top of my jammies and then just go and do my paper round.
And we survived.
I know. What did you do about heating before? That's what it was like. You just got on with it, didn't you? So
Well,
you
older
didn't
houses,
have really. You just
yeah, they used to just have
lived with it.
a fireplace in the lounge, and that was it.
Yeah. So what time does your heating go on and off? Could it come on later? Could it go off earlier? Smart meters is a big thing. Are you doing the smart meter thing?
We have a smart meter. It was installed by EDF, I think it was actually,
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, and our electricity has never ever connected to it. It won't give us a readout for our electricity, and it only shows us the gas.
Yeah.
But it seems to be a pretty basic machine. Where I've seen other ones that, as soon as you turn the gas cooker on, a little flame will come up and it'll bigger, and it shows you exactly how much you're using. And if you turn on the kettle, the electricity, the little like a needle goes up on it, and they're really good. But ours is rubbish. And trying to get them to come out and actually do anything about it.
Because
2 years.
there's no singularity to smart meters. It's like you get EDF and then you get somebody else round to put your gas and electricity supply, and they go, we'll have to go and change the smart meter again. But why? Sorry, why have you not got the same smart meters for everything and you just take them? No, but ours is different. So it's weird because there is different smart meters. Do you know what happened to my smart meter when I first got it? It went straight in the cupboard. That's it. I kind of thought, if I'm at the stage, I'll be honest, if I'm at the stage where I've got to sit and look at a meter to decide whether I should have heating or whether I should have light or anything like that, I need to sort my life out. I need to get something done about this. I need to earn more money as a result of it to pay for these type of things. That's kind of how I thought about it. And I would do something about it. So in times of scarcity, I say to people, make yourself more available, make more money. Don't play the scarcity card sometimes. Just go and generate more money.
Yeah, I think they do have a fairly reasonable place in some houses that I know one house who will remain nameless at the moment, whose energy bills are sky high, much more than what they should be. And it's the electricity side of it rather than the gas. And we have no idea what it is that's actually eating up the electricity. Pretty sure there's not a cannabis farm anywhere up in the attic. So,
well, you'd smell it for one thing, won't you?
You would. I'm only joking.
Just but, like when you're running around the London Marathon, there's certain places that you can smell it. It's like, honestly, genuinely, that's what it was like.
Out of cars as they go past.
There's certain places you're running around the London Marathon, and you're just.
It would be really handy to have a smart meter that really worked to show exactly what it was that was using up all the electricity.
Yeah, perfect. Phil actually goes on to say Type 2. They do Type 2 work with most suppliers.
Right.
So so if you've got a Type 2, I'm not really sure what that is. That's technical. So they're just a handful of ideas what you can do. Actually, the smart meters installed for free estimated to lower UK and their electricity and gas prices by probably around about 3% for electricity and about 2% for gas. I mean, it is all marginal gains, isn't it? But it does compound up. I mean, if you're £100 off your by turning the electricity down, and then you're £100 by the 1 degree, and then the timing £100. And then you're replacing your light bulbs, and you're maybe about £50. You're approaching about £500. And
yeah, but is that going to be enough?
See a real significant difference, will you? It's just a wee bit. It's just creating habits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did actually read somewhere not that long ago that people who have both gas and electricity supplies to their houses, but only the gas was heating their electricity, heating their water.
Yeah.
They were actually getting their gas taken out, capped off, and the meter taken away, and going back to an immersion for just their heating the water.
All right, okay, because they thought it was
so there was
cheaper.
only one standing charge to pay, and it was going to work out cheaper for them.
All right, well, that makes sense actually. Hey, listen, we're just going to be talking about that actually, how they're going to change for the future. And it was quite interesting because I was talking to Scottish Gas Networks who were talking about hydrogen. And they're actually testing the first time in the world. They're taking the big, massive Samsung turbine. For the example, it was the biggest in Europe created on methyl, and they're actually going to be putting a generator in so they can convert the. I don't know what it is. It's some fandangle thing. I'll maybe see if I can find it here on the It was actually, I did a blog, I did the presentation for the Leaving Mouth Lottery, and we spoke to Craig from Scottish Gas Networks, who actually told us about this. And it's some Energize Frigilizer or whatever it is, I don't know what it's called. And then it actually converts the energy from the turbine to there to actually change it, to take water and actually separate oxygen and hydrogen, and then actually use the hydrogen part for doing boilers. So they're actually testing it. They're actually putting in place up in Buckhaven. They're going to get 300 houses. They're going to put hydrogen powered boilers in. They're going to put hydrogen hobs in as well. And they're going to maintain them. They're going to give them free to the people, the 300 people. They're going to give them free to them, and they're going to maintain them for the next 4 years as a test and a pilot to see if hydrogen is the way forward. To be honest, I think it is. I mean, because it burns clean. When hydrogen burns, it just produces water. Does it not?
I think it does. I'm not that read up on hydrogen, but I do know that a lot of vehicles are supposed to be going that way as well.
Yeah, I think the electric battery thing's on its way out. I think this is like the step between from records to CDs and then digital. So I think hydrogen is digital and CDs is electrical batteries and cars. I think that's where we're going to be. So we're going to end up taking this jump and this leap. Don't know what anybody else thinks out there, but if feel free to comment if what your thoughts are on hydrogen as the way forward. I mean, there are a handful of ideas. Check out the internet for others. It's fascinating how much energy we use in terms of overfilling kettles, chargers left on, technology on standby, all these different things. Yet this will only scratch the surface when you think about it. And many of us will need to go further, especially the landlords, to retrofit our properties to make them more energy efficient. It's particularly important as in June, the government announced they would like to make the country carbon neutral by 2050, meaning Britain's homes need some enormous retrofitting to meet these ambitious climate targets. What are we going to be able to meet them, Andrea?
I don't know. I mean, it seems like we're just playing a very, very small part in our, the targets for getting a cleaner world and being carbon neutral.
Yeah.
When the huge giants like Russia and China and everywhere are doing absolutely nothing.
We have got to think about that. I mean, we're just a small island in the scope of things, and I said about 37. What was it? How many households? I said 27 million households. And when you look at things like China and Russia, they're not effectively even bothering. So how does that affect us, and how can we change as a result? I suppose then it changes our dependency on certain things. You can see that now, how Europe's now going, wait a minute, we're so dependent on Russian gas. We're needing to change this, and we're needing to adapt and change quickly. So if Europe changes and we change, and then the USA, they'll take a wee bit of working, but they've obviously now seen how much they hinge on the fact that they get the supplies from other people. So they now obviously have to think about how they do it as well. I mean, it is particularly important because of this 2050 target. In 2018, the government required private landlords to improve energy efficiency ratings on their rental properties by prohibiting the rental properties of energy performance certificates for F and G. I mean, a lot of private landlords don't realise that if you've got an F and a G rating, you will not be allowed to rent your property quite soon. And yet from 2025, that will be increased possibly to C for all new tenancies and 2028 for all existing tenancies. I mean, more below on the EPCs and stuff like that. And I'll show that on the screen in a minute. Actually, have I got that there, that wee graphic, to show you some graphics about this? Let's have a wee look and see what we've got. These are the two there, picture one, picture two. Here we go. So this itself, I could share that. There's the energy efficiency ratings of Fife homes so far. I've got a funny feeling that's probably similar to where we are in terms of the UK, in terms of bandings, because you usually find that Fife's a bit of a microcosm, a reflection of the whole of the UK. St Andrews is like London, And then you've got the other end of the spectrum as other places which are obviously, in poverty, so to speak. I wouldn't want to name them because it's no fair on these areas. But you've got one end of the spectrum, you've got the other end of the spectrum. You've got 50-50 in terms of industrialisation and also in terms of farming and fishing as well. So I kind of think Fife's a good reflection of that. So energy efficiency rating of Fife homes, you've got round about, I would say, about 45% there in the ABCs. And then below, you've got the G's. So no much for F and G's, is there, really?
No, there's not. But then in Scotland and in Fife in particular, where there's quite a lot of rental properties, they will have all been brought up to the standard for being able to be let out at the moment. So
it's
those
the E
ones
we've
that are
got to worry
left
about.
there are private owned houses.
So here's what happens usually. Here's typically what happens with the UK government or the Scottish government. What they do is they get everybody saying that we're going to move to these targets. They get everybody on the bandwagon and they get them all to change. And then with the people that are left, like the Fs and the Gs, they then put the subsidies in to help these people.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's if they've got all these in the beginning, it'll cost them an absolute arm and a leg to do that. But to get everybody else over the line at the end of it, they then put subsidies in to do that. So that's another way they flyily do it. But I'm still concerned about that E. That's going to have to be eliminated, and that's 21% almost of the homes in the area, if not in the UK. So that's quite a worrying statistic. The other one in there as well, as we'd seen, was energy efficient homes versus Fife in the UK. So this is where we are in Fife as opposed to the UK. You can see there. I'll quickly just jump back to that and say 31.9. So there it is there. So the UK is the Union Jacks, as we'll see there. And then you've got Fife. So we're actually lagging a wee bit behind. In terms of C, we're above. B, we're above. A, we're above slightly. So A, B's and C's were all right. And then when we come down to the E's, we're actually quite high there in terms of that, which we shouldn't be. So we're lagging a bit behind in getting right up to these standards. And it's basically because most of theirs are in D. You see that 38.6% as opposed to us in 31 for the rest of the UK. So there's an offset there. So overall, I would say the rest of the UK is a bit more energy efficient than what we are in the Fife area. So I've got a wee bit of mountain to climb, or a wee bit of hill, I would say, in terms of that. So I generally think, I don't believe there's an appetite for a mandate for private homeowners to do all this work, but you never know in the future. So how do you find out about your Fife Homes eco credentials? Here we go. Since 2007, every home has been built and rented out and put on the market in Fife has had to have an EPC. It gives you a rating between A and G rather than those stickers. I mean, rather like those stickers you actually see on fridges and washing machines. Have you ever seen these before, Andrea?
Well, I have actually. I've been looking at fridge freezers and washing machines this past weekend. And believe it or not, the most energy efficient now are coming out as F and G because the electricals have changed their labelling. So what used to be rated as an A plus is now an E, an F is what was A plus plus, and a G is an A plus plus plus. So it's very confusing when you're looking for electricals.
Oh dear, have they changed everything then?
They've changed it, yeah.
Geez. Why do they?
Because I kept saying, can I not get better than an F?
Oh no! I mean, that's just one way to confuse everybody. I mean, it says here on energy efficiency certificates for property, A is the highest rating. That's the best energy efficiency and the greenest. G is the worst rating. So, as I said, 44.5% of Fife homes are in that eco-friendly A to C energy performance band, and compared to the national average of 40.1%. So, I mean, what's next? Well, the government will attempt to make the green revolution as painless as possible with technology. That's really what it comes down to. And in the future, we might have hydrogen central heating instead of mains gas. We could see that, as I said, we can see that coming. If anybody wants to find out about that, I'm sure it's H100 S2. Now, do you just want to cover that wee bit there then, Andrea? And I'll just see if I can find this, because I'm intrigued now as to where this is, this post I did, because it'll tell people a bit more about what's going on.
So in the future, we might have hydrogen central heating instead of mains gas, or have solar panels for electricity.
Yep.
All triple glazed windows and even ground source heating sounds fanciful. Well, who would have thought some of the most wanted cars would be electric 20 years ago?
Yeah.
There is no doubt that the energy efficiency of our homes will rise in the coming years as the cost of fuel increases and people's opinion on going green changes.
Yeah.
So you don't need to spend thousands of pounds to find out what you can do to make your property greener and cost less. Just look at your EPC and it will tell you what small changes you can make to improve your Fife home's energy efficiency rating and
Yeah.
ultimately save yourself some money.
So if you want to find out about that, just for people watching, if you want to find out about that new project that's going ahead, and where I had that interview with Craig from Scottish Gas Networks or Scotland Gas Networks or Generation Networks, I'm not really sure what that was. It's on there. I've actually posted it in the links in the comments below. Also, the project itself, I'll post that, which is h100fife.co.uk, which tells you what's actually going to be happening. And as I say, this is the first in the world of its kind where they're going to take one of these big, massive turbines and produce hydrogen gas as a result and power 300 houses and, their boilers and their hobs for the next 4 years in the Buckhaven area in Fife. So exciting times ahead in terms of what could happen and where hydrogen's going to go. So that could be the way forward, as you said. What about the rest then? You want to cover the rest of that?
Yeah, well, some people might not even know what their EPC of the house has been unless they've maybe moved recently.
Yeah.
So there is a register that you can go on to find out what your EPC is.
Yep.
And you just type in EPC Register Scotland, it will come up and it gives you the choice between sort of domestic, residential and businesses. And you just put in your address, and if there's been an EPC done, it should be there and recorded. So you can just have a look at what your own house one is.
As if by magic, I've put that in the comments.
Excellent.
So that's all coming up. For if anybody wants to know their EPC or their property, if they've got one and they don't have that yet, or potentially if you're a tenant and you're in a property as well, then I'll put in the links there. It's the EPC register. It's the Scottish epcregister.org.uk. It's got all the EPCs in the Scotland area, and you can find out more about that as well. I'm no doubt there'll be one for the UK, so you can pop on and find that one as well.
Yeah, and if you want to, out of interest, get an EPC done on your home, even if you're not moving, but you want to find out where you can make some savings on your energy, just get in touch with us and we'll be able to put you in touch with someone that can, we know a few people about there that do them.
I would say so as well. I'm just looking up, see if I can see some information for anybody else that can find out a bit more. Now, I'm sure Mark won't mind. Mark's a domestic energy assessor. I'm going to put Mark's details in there for anybody, but he does energy green deals and stuff like that. So energy savings. So Mark's Facebook page is there. So you can message Mark direct more than likely, and he could actually possibly put you in a situation where what they do normally, if they've got a grant or a subsidy that's available for you as maybe a boiler, maybe a LED lighting, or anything that he knows that he's got access to that you can get towards a grant for your boilers or your lighting, then what he does is they do an energy performance certificate in the beginning. That's what they're required to do. Then they install what they're meant to install, and then they do an energy performance certificate at the end, and then that's when they then can prove to the Energy Saving Trust Scotland that the job's actually done. That's their way of doing it to justify the grant that gets released. So that's what was done with me. So they'll do your EPCs for you if you actually get in touch with them through the Green Deal, because he's a Green Deal assessor. So that's another one that you can get access to as well in the comments. Interestingly enough, Dave Sleet, thanks for coming and commenting, Dave. Innovation and evolution for environmentally self-sufficiency is increasingly being seen as a necessity rather than an option. Yeah, finally, absolutely. We have to do it. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. We keep continuing to go where we're going. There's only so many finite resources in the world, and unless you're generating them from renewables, it will just run out. Literally, you're just burning the earth as we go. You know, that's what coal does. We're just taking out the ground and burning it all, and it just turns to a pile of ash. And at some point in time, if you keep doing that, we'll just be sitting on a pile of ash. And then at some point, if you consuming everything in the water, there'll be nothing left in the water. And if you keep dumping all the rubbish in the water, we'll be sitting in a mud pile. You know, so we'll have to do something about it. And this is probably the start. I think everybody's. We're beginning to. Do you think we're beginning to wake up more and more about this, Andrea? It's becoming more and more apparent.
I do think so in some cases, but in other cases, people want their comforts and people want things they like, and if they can afford them, they're still going to want them. You know, one of the things that's not, it's great for heating your house, but it's not very good for the carbon footprint are these burner stoves, log burners and multi-fuel.
You can see these getting outlawed,
stoves. And, there is going to be legislation coming in soon. I think all new houses that are getting built are going to have to be built without gas boilers and have air source heat pumps put in instead. There is already a development near me that's had that done. And, one of the other ways that, if people have got a bit of funds behind them and they're going to be staying in their home for any length of time, because that's the other thing. If you do lots of upgrades, you want to get that money back. So if you're planning on staying in your home and you have a conservatory with a polycarbonate roof, these are some of the most inefficient things on this earth. And we're just about to change ours because we've got a large conservatory that we can't use. It's too hot in the summer and too cold in the winter. And we're going to change it to ultra glass. So, which has a value, a U value of 1 or 0.1 or something it is, which is much, much more efficient. So that'll be us doing our little bit.
Yeah, so it all adds up over time. I'm not convinced about the ground source heat pumps. I mean, I've got a funny feeling. You know, I remember the old warm air systems. This is a great idea. Let's pump warm air out through our house. And now it's like, my God, they're the most inefficient things that you can have. And they also spread Legionella possibly as well, they've found out. I have a sneaking suspicion this is going to come back to haunt us as one of these great ideas at the time that were right to do. But I do think hydrogen will end up being the way forward once all that kind of gets off the plate. Because I definitely think the running costs of doing ground source heat pumps are probably quite prohibitive over time. And for the people that are actually having to do it, I think it'll come back to haunt them. I genuinely do think that. If you've got a ground source, air source heat pump or whatever it's called, then feel free to message us. Tell us in the comments how well you're doing with it and how it is for you. And are you actually making a saving? If you've got solar panels, are you actually making money on this as opposed to what you paid for them? Maybe now's the time to actually discuss that and get that out in the open so everybody understands that. I mean, you don't need to spend thousands, remember, to find out how you can what you can do to make money for your property and make it greener and actually cost less. As you said, Andrea, look at your EPC and tell you what the EPC will tell you what the wee small incremental changes you can make to that, and it will actually give you pointers towards the green deals. It does actually say, doesn't it? It actually says that you've got access possibly to possible funding through Energy Savings Scotland Trust as well. So that's maybe a great pointer to start from. If you need help, as you said, Andrea, drop us a line. We know some great energy assessors. Mark Henderson is the one that immediately sprang to mind for me. He can easily do an EPC on your property for that price, and it won't cost the earth, and he could advise you as well of what you need to do to save money on your energy bills. Remember, Fife households' bills are going to go up by £254 million. Wow. And on that note, it's bye-bye from me.
And goodbye from me.